My name's Ari Nahmani, moved here about 19 years ago, and I've been doing SEO pretty much ever since. Founded a company called Kahena, or digital marketing agency, focused on SEO and PPC. And I'm also an ADHD, fast-talking geek. So we've got a lot of slides, and I will try to go quick. Show of hands, how many of you do SEO like on your day-to-day? Oh, okay, good. How many of you are just more general digital marketers, marketing practitioners? Okay. And then sort of marketing leadership, VPs, CMOs, and then totally elsewhere, not in the marketing tree whatsoever. Okay, all right, that's good. I know who I'm talking to. Let's talk about some search trends, AI search trends first. So this whole idea of AI search is actually fairly new. Like ChatGPT with search enabled for free was only launched 3 months ago. I know things move very fast, but it's pretty recent. And this trend of 0 clicks has been going on for a while. Us SEOs know this. It's been trending up for years due to vertical search or featured snippets, and now AI overviews, right? Who's going to click to your website when your SERP looks like that? But the truth is that it's probably worse than we even think. 60% of searches are now likely to be 0 click. And when you drill down, less than 30% actually click on a non-Google website from Google, right? Yet, Google's overall search volume has been trending up, and it's been up 20% year on year in 24. So what does this all mean? When we think about ChatGPT, when you actually look at the queries, 70% of them can't really be classified with the traditional, transactional, informational, navigational type query. They're all new. They're sort of AI assistance tasks, right? With those long queries that Eitan talked about. But 30% are more like the traditional searches that we're used to in search engines. So when you try to break this down, and this is from Rand Fishkin of SparkToro, you try to compare apples to apples, Google still receives 373x more searches than ChatGPT, okay? So we can all take a deep breath for a moment. And if you like visuals, you can see ChatGPT there in the bottom right, and Yahoo gets 5x ChatGPT, so we're not all trying to optimize for Yahoo right now, right? And for those that still like pie charts, there's another visual for you to get a sense of how small it is. But there's been a lot of hoo-ha around, okay, ChatGPT could intersect Google in the next couple of years, right? And that's assuming, the problem with this model is that's assuming that Google is not going to innovate to slow ChatGPT's growth. And 12 days ago, Google released AI mode. Okay, this is in beta, but it's sort of a chat-based LLM and SERP hybrid. And I assume this will become Google's primary homepage. And just to get a sense of what this looks like, hopefully this works, yeah. So this is the mobile experience. There it goes. Buffering. So it's going to be a tabbed experience, right? So it's sort of a tab right now if you're in beta, but I assume over time this will become the primary experience for Google. Here's what it looks like in desktop, and you see all of the sources are on the right, and you get a very strong indication to research and redefine your query. So we can all imagine what 0-click searches will look like if and when this becomes the primary homepage. Point is, Google is competing with ChatGPT, and it can do everything that you see in Gemini, but it may be your primary homepage experience, I don't know how long, months, couple years. So the question is, what the fuck do we do right now, right? I think that's why we're all here. So I'm going to go through what we can do right now and what we might be able to do in the future. First of all, monitoring and tracking. So the first thing I think you all should do is aggregate your refers that are from LLMs, whether that's in analytics or build a data studio report. There's some free templates out there, and understand what your traffic looks like right now. 1 to 3% is an amazing sign. Even if you have no traffic, start tracking it now so you can understand what you may be doing, how it's working or not. But this is only referring to referral traffic, and we know a lot of people are not clicking on the sources when they get an instant answer. So we also need to monitor our brand and how we sort of rank, for lack of a better term. And there's a ton of platforms out there. Tomer's platform, Am I on AI, is great. There are a bunch of others. They're popping up every week now. But the point is, start tracking how your brand or site ranks for the queries that you think are important, and you should scrape and store those sources that help generate each response. And you should also try to understand who are the primary sources? What are the primary sources in your industry? Yes, Reddit is going to be there for a lot, but there are going to be some unique sites per industry, per query, and it's important to understand who the influencers are in that industry. And you should parse and store these answers, right? So not just the answer, the raw answer, but also parse out the sources and maybe the solutions mentioned if you're in B2B SaaS or something similar. So it's really important to store this because right now we need to monitor and understand what's happening. If you don't want to pay for a platform, one way to do this, well, pay for the API, but is to use something like GPT for Sheets, right? And so this is a tool that allows you to bring all this data in and store it and run some automations on that. So I think that's something really good. And as Eitan mentioned, once the agents come around, Google's got Project Mariner that will be released and ChatGPT Operator, you may be able to build something to go and search for you and bring that result set back into a structured format. Okay, let's talk about access. We can't really rank for stuff or show up if our site is blocking all of these LLMs. And just to get an understanding of how this works, something called RAG, okay, Retrieval Augmented Generation. This is an LLM going out and getting information from your website or from a search index like Google or Bing and bringing it back to make the result richer or grounded. And so one way to make sure that you're giving access to the bots is making sure that robots.txt is not blocking out AI bots, okay? And then also want to make sure that your firewall is not blocking them as well. I see some of you taking pictures. Don't worry, because I made a little tool for you. So you can go here, it's free, kahena.com, AI bot tester, and put in any URL, and it will tell you if your robots.txt is blocking or if your firewall is blocking, okay? And there's some nuance here. There's a disclaimer about why it may give you false positives, or false negatives rather, but it's really cool to just quickly check. This is New York Times, and you can see they weren't one of those publishers that Eitan showed you. They're DAFCO, one of the ones that didn't, that is sort of fighting the good fight. So they're blocking everything. But Tomer, MI on AI is totally green. Your site's totally green here, so you're good. So feel free to check that out and don't crash my web server. So Bing, okay, so Bing results really matter. Why? Because they're like 49% stakeholder in ChatGPT or something, right? So they, it's one of the primary sources for web results for ChatGPT. So we need to understand how we're ranking, how we're being indexed there. So I don't know how many of you log into Bing Webmaster Tools that often. I don't enough. But it's actually really easy to log in because you just log in with your Google account that's connected to Google Search Console, and then you'll see all of your accounts there. They just trust that you're the site owner. It's kind of weird. But you can look at Site Explorer and understand the crawl depth and how Bing is processing your site. And you can also understand how you're performing, just like in Google Search Console. So I highly recommend making sure that the numbers and the data look similar to how you'd expect from Google. And you need to look at Bing and understand how you're ranking. Another thing is log files, right? So download your log files from your server and use a software or use like ChatGPT, so Screaming Frog log file analyzer or ChatGPT itself, and just upload that raw file and say, make me a graph showing all of the known AI bots and how they're accessing my site. And if you use software and go deeper, you can filter by URL or page type. It's just like you would do for regular SEO, but for AI bots. Okay, what about optimization? We talked about access. How do we actually improve results right now? This was actually just revealed, like shit is happening every day now. Dan Petrovich, it was amazing. He intercepted the RAG between Google Gemini and Google results itself. And I'm not going to go into all the geeky details, but the short end is if you look at the JSON response there on the right, you can see it's a very minimal amount of information, right? It's the title, the URL, and a bit of a snippet. Just yesterday, he discovered that it's probably a longer snippet, but the point is it's very basic information. And I love my little nerdy diagram I tried building here. But basically, it's SEO 101, right? It's your title, your URL, your schema, your headings, your page copy. And it's being augmented. But the difference here is that offsite optimization is going to be playing a bigger role here. Okay, that's what's helping to generate the response. But on-page optimization still matters, right? Featured snippet optimization, which we did recently in Google, it works very well for AI, right? So concise and direct answers, definitive language, structured markup. These are the things that are helping to rank, especially if you can build that content in a structured, very orderly fashion if you think about a bot coming to read your content. And the results are often driven by just one result, okay? This is an example. What are the best accelerators for startups in Israel in ChatGPT? And if you look, this primary source, the first source, if you look at the order here, is pretty much the top 5 or 6 results is just scraped right from this list. The other sources are probably just helping to, correlate that information or add more information. But the list I looked is basically just taken from one site, which is crazy. And there's no reason you can't host these types of listicles or ordered lists yourself. Or comparison pages, right? This is Monday. I was searching what are the major differences between Monday and ClickUp, and put it in a table for me. Well, guess what? Self-hosted comparison pages, we've been doing this for PPC and SEO for a long time, they work really well. So you look at the information here and you can see that customer support 24/7 and really clean user interface, user-friendly user interface, was taken right from this page. So, okay, I'm getting to wrap it up. So, user-generated content and reviews are also critical, right? Off-site and on-site. So this is Fredos actually. Having a page with your users' reviews on your site is really beneficial. That stuff can be directly implemented into ChatGPT or other LLMs. B2B SaaS. How many of you are in B2B SaaS space? I'm assuming a lot. Capterra, G2, Gartner, these are the primary sources for SaaS. And obviously check your own sources, but these are places where you may need to pay to play, right? That's something we have to get used to. Or just general digital PR and review generation, that's important. If you're in the local space, I assume a lot less of people here, local SEO still works, either using an aggregator or just directly putting them on third-party listing sites. Focus on reviews and name, address, and phone number. E-commerce, there are going to be blogs that are related to your industry. So if you're in retail, it's going to be fashion blogs or even YouTube, okay? So just a couple more slides on the far future. How many of you have heard of LLMs.txt? Okay, just a handful, good. This is going to be a new standard markdown, I assume. It's not fully adopted yet. There are plugins for WordPress and other platforms. And it's really easy to implement. It's basically just a bunch of text snippets from your site, of the whole site, so that it's easier and faster for an AI bot to read it. And in the future, which Eitan said we're all screwed, agents, right? So how many of you have seen this, this clip of two computers talking to each other with it's pretty wild. So, we have to start thinking about voice search. We need to be thinking about NLP, accessibility, image alt tags still are going to be important, but honestly, we have no idea where this goes. And I just think that we're going to need to start thinking about non-human visitors to our site. And we need to, right now, ensure access and monitor logs. I'm not going to go into this too much, but we need to be careful about black hat stuff, the prompt injections. Don't have time. Last slide. Here's the bottom line. Don't panic or overcorrect. I think Google still has 373x more search volume. Ensure AI bot access. Monitor results. I would argue primarily ChatGPT and Google Gemini, because AI mode is probably going to be the leader. SEO 101 with some light AI tweaks I talked about. And the biggest difference from regular SEO, off-site citation building, and don't spam it because SEOs ruin everything. That's it. Thank you very much. Feel free to connect